At this presentation, the key components in planning, implementing, and monitoring a behavior change communication campaign that increased condom use among male clients of sex workers in southern India. And I'm focusing on study question 4. My name is Jessica Coleman, and this is for the Health Behavior Health Education, Unit 3. Today's date is October 29th, 2019. This is the outline slide. So first we're going to do an introduction, and then we'll have the study overview. We'll have the study interventions overview specifically, and then we'll look at the question, move on to the theory of planned behavior, and then we'll answer part 1, part 2, and part 3 of the question, and then we'll end with a summary and my references. So first, the study overview. So the study focuses on HIV prevalence in India, which has 10% of the cases in the world. They found that there's a high distribution in India in sex workers, clients and partners of sex workers, men who have sex with men, IV drug users. They also found that male commercial sex clients and non-condom users or inconsistent users, 62% of these clients of female sex workers had consistent use of condoms, whereas 75% male clients of sex workers overall had a consistent use of condoms. And so there's obviously a need to address these numbers. They also found that there was a geographical distribution with 100 high priority towns. And this was all based on the sex workers and HIV prevalence, as well as socioeconomic status. This slide is an overview of the study interventions. So they found that there were several determinants that they wanted to address originally in the study. And those determinants were the social support, beliefs, and the perceived severity of the diseases. They found that these affected the use of condoms in regards to HIV. They found that some of these were spread across the state, and then others were more across the country, and then others were more state specific. So overall, they decided to target the beliefs because this was the one by far most effective and most determining whether people would use condoms or not. And so the 4 beliefs they targeted were that condoms won't burst if used correctly. Condoms won't slip off if used correctly. Therefore, there is no need to worry. No matter what choices you make, you always need a condom in commercial sex. No matter which sex worker you choose, you always need a condom. And the study interventions were mostly through a communication program. And this communication program focused on interpersonal communication and also activities such as street theater or dramas, group contests and games, demonstrations, and one-on-one and group discussions. The groups were targeted by geography. They found certain areas within cities and states had a higher rate of sex worker use, and so these areas were targeted to educate and use the communications program. So question number 4. Question number 4 states, describe how the condom use prevention programs align or do not align with at least 4 of the major constructs of the theory of planned behavior. Go beyond the specific determinants that the program planners assessed and look carefully what they did in the programs themselves. Does the program fit better with this theory or with another theory discussed during class lectures, with both of them or with neither? Justify your answer. What are the issues or weaknesses with the intervention and how would you do it differently? So first we're going to discuss the constructs of the theory of planned behavior. This theory has 6 different constructs, which are attitudes, the consideration of the outcomes of performing the behavior, behavioral intention, which is the motivational factors that influence a given behavior, where the stronger the intention to perform the behavior, the more likely the behavior will be performed. Subjective norms, where a person's beliefs about whether peers or people of importance to the person think he or she should engage in the behavior. Social norms, that are customary codes of behavior in a group of people in a cultural context. Perceived power, which is perceived presence of factors that may facilitate or impede performance of behavior over the factors. And perceived behavioral control, which are a person's perceptions of the ease or difficulty of performing the behaviors of interest. Perceived behavioral control can vary across situations and actions. Does the program fit better with the theory or with another theory discussed during class lectures, with both of them or with neither? Justify your answer. I found that it did not agree with the trans-theoretical model of behavior change, and this was an intrapersonal model of behavior change, but it didn't really go through the stages of change and the process of change as we know them and as we identify them. You could argue that several of the stages were met, but not all of the 5 stages. It did align with the health belief model, which focuses on why people do these actions and what they believe about their health and about the factors influencing their health. And I found it did not agree with the social cognitive theory, which was at interpersonal level, the diffusion of innovations, which is a community level, community organizing and capacity building, which is again a community level, empowerment theory, which is a community level, theory of gender and power, which is a community level, or social ecological model, which is a multi-level idea of behavior change. I found that this was primarily focusing on a intrapersonal view overall and trying to implement change in each person as opposed to across a community. What are the issues or weaknesses with intervention, and how would you do it differently? Issues and weaknesses I found in the study were, as they stated, there was several missed mid-course corrections, where they changed the media and adjusted the messages based off of the feedback that they were getting and based off of their current numbers. I think this could also be a strength because it allowed them to reach more people in the moment. But if they could have planned or predicted some of these things more ahead of time, the message would have probably been more effective from the beginning of the study. There was also this digression in areas not related to the campaign. They said that the workers disseminated as much information as possible because these identified these people as at-risk people that needed help and needed to be changed, which is very true. But they saw a lot of deterring from the messages of the campaign, which could have worked against them as far as effectiveness goes for that, whereas it would have been still beneficial to these people overall. There was also more of a focus on simple beliefs instead of complex ones due to the interpersonal connections and the backgrounds in social work. The study also did not target efficiency, had issues with recall bias, as sometimes the participants of the study had thought that they had attended multiple of these sessions and in reality had not. Also, the target audience, I think, was again both a strength and a weakness. It is a strength because they saw that this was the area of most need where they could implement the most change, but at the same time, it could have been great to also educate the partners and the families on these things because that could have been another motivational factor. There was also an issue with accurate numbers and the difficulty in differentiating clients from non-clients due to the sensitive issue that this is and the cultural ideas in the area. So it's great to educate more people about more things, but this could have resulted in getting inaccurate numbers from one event to another. Improvements that I identified or saw we made with this study were, as they stated, the use of photographs to reduce recall bias in the future, improve efficiency by, again, having the messages stay the same from the beginning and having the workers stay more on topic to these goals, and encourage the workers by saying that in the future, after this study is done, we can work on these other things and do projects on that. Also should do a several studies follow-ups to maintain the consistent condom use. It's great to teach these people how to use condoms and to educate them. We really need to make sure that they're maintaining this throughout their life and not just doing it for a short period of time. And I also thought that the state or geographic targeting beliefs, could be a very good thing to implement. They might have better efficacy at reaching these people in these areas more effectively if they took into account all the factors that they were thinking about instead of making it such a general message. And in summary, we've discussed the theory of planned behavior, the study overview, question overview, study alignment, theories, weaknesses, and improvements with the interventions. And this is my reference slide. Please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to message me or comment on the discussion board. Thank you for listening and have a great day. So, describe how the condom use promotion programs aligns or does not align with at least 4 of the major constructs of the theory of planned behavior. Go beyond the specific determinants that the program planners assessed and look carefully at what they did in the programs themselves. So I found that 5 of the constructs aligned with the theory of planned behavior. And so first in the study, they focused on attitude. This was overall the main focus of the study, where they took consideration of beliefs and attitudes in across the state and then also in these geographical areas. And so these were attitudes such as the condoms would break, the way that the men had learned to use condoms, and what they knew about the disease itself. Next was the behavioral intention, construct number 2. This was the motivational factors. So the motivational factors that they tried to educate these men on were the idea of not contracting the disease, protecting themselves, but also protecting their family or their partner from this disease, and also educating them about the disease itself and how severe the disease is, and that the cures are very rare and it's a lifelong disease process. Construct 4 was the social norms, the cultural context. So they used the social norms and the cultural context of the situation to understand why the men weren't using condoms and to identify lapses of education or areas that weren't discussed between families or even in schools to help these men understand the risk factors of the disease and then also the risk factors of not using condoms. Construct number 5 was the perceived norms. So they looked at different factors that would influence or prevent the men from using this, and this can be seen in the 4 overall beliefs that they used in the study, which were like fears of the condom breaking and fears of not using it correctly, and that it would be worse to use it if they it would be worse to use a condom and not use it correctly than to use it at all. And so these were targeted through the education program by demonstrating how to use a condom properly and then having a game about it to let these men do it themselves. The other constructs was 6, perceived behavioral control. So they looked at whether these men had the knowledge of use, and as I just said, for the last construct, they had games designed to allow these men to actually hands-on learn how to use these condoms and to make it easier for them to use and make it easier for them to believe in, and also the idea of accessibility. Because if it's difficult for them to perform, it'd be less likely to have compliance in these situations. The construct I didn't find that aligned with the theory of planned behavior was construct 3, the subjective norms, which focused on others' beliefs about a person's actions. I didn't find that the study focused on how other people would perceive their actions, except for, I guess you could maybe argue their family, but overall this is more focused on people of importance in the person's life, or like in media and such like that, like idols. It didn't really focus on that. It was more of an interpersonal identification and an interpersonal level of communication that this program tried to use to educate these people.